Is sponsored by Digi4. Digi4 has developed an AI-based universal cloud for software testing, enabling companies to integrate all of their testing ecosystem tools and seamlessly set up a continuous testing and enterprise reporting dashboard with AI-based failure analysis. Transition your testing operation today into a single platform operation, simplify testing, and amplify results. Welcome to the All Things Quality podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Wilkinson, and I will be taking you on a journey around the innovations in quality engineering and the things that we're passionate about when it comes to quality. Today, my guest is Ayush Anand of Quality Engineering for Telus, which is a telecommunications company based in Canada. So sit back, enjoy, and let's talk about artificial intelligence and cloud and how quality engineering impacts those areas. Artificial intelligence and cloud. Here with me today, as always, is Digi4 CEO, Parasar Saha. So Parasar, hello. Also, we have Ayush Anand from Telus, a telecommunications company based in Canada. Ayush is the manager of service information, DevOps, and quality engineering. And he has many years experience in the quality engineering space. Full disclosure, when I was working with Accenture, I had Telus as a client, and I spent a good deal of time in the Telus facilities, both in Vancouver and in Toronto. Great company. They do a great job with telecommunications. One of the pioneers in mobile phones back in the day in Canada. So it should be a fun conversation. Let's start. I'm going to start off, just throw it to Parasar. Anything you want to say as we get things going here, Parasar?
So as always, it's great to be a part of this show, and this all things quality is always exciting for me because I'm so close to quality. And you told me that story, how, this all things quality came into place, that NPR story they used to have and how you replicated that in terms of quality. And sitting in this discussion is very meaningful because what we do as Digi4 is very much quality related. What we do is and just to kind of talk about a bit for a minute is that we are building the quality engineering cloud, AI-based quality engineering cloud, which is a universal cloud for software testing where people can bring their tools and we stitch them together and the integration and put the pipeline, put the dashboard, and which is very meaningful for this discussion, put the AI on the top of it, the universal AI. So that's DigiCloud. Welcome you to take a look. Our website, www.digi4.com. Okay, and I'm very excited to be with you and Ayush. Listen, I'm looking forward to this discussion. Over to you, Jeff.
All right, thanks, Parasar. And let's dig right into it. So Ayush, tell us a little bit about your job, what you do. You're in Toronto, so you can talk a little bit about that. Maybe you don't have to talk about the Maple Leafs. I'm sure that's not a topic you want to discuss, but tell us a little bit about what you do at Telus.
All right. So first of all, I would like to thank you, the organizers and the interviewer, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my views on such an exciting and transformative topic. And it's an honor to discuss how AI and cloud technology is reshaping telecom industry and quality engineering is evolving alongside these evolving technologies. For myself, I'm I'm a manager at Telus. I've been working for Telus for over a decade now, and my area of roles and responsibility is Center of Excellence for Quality Engineering at Telus. So the core principle of my whole team is to keep looking for latest and greatest cutting edge technologies that can help foster quality engineering practices in our organization, right? And yep, we do think about cloud, AI, and all of it. So that's on what I do at Telus at work. On a personal front, I like playing piano. I'm a pianist, and and then I like spending time with my 4-year-old daughter, who's asleep by now. But yeah, that I really look forward to always getting engaged with her whenever I get time, making sure that she is spending quality time with me. And that's pretty much. We
should get a recording of you playing the piano and then use that as a backdrop for this discussion. really elegant discussion. Well, tell me a little bit about the structure of the quality assurance organization. Do you call it quality engineering?
Sorry, a moment. On this, you are cutting in and out, Jeff, for me.
Start the question I had again here. Tell me a little bit about the structure of the quality assurance group at Telus, your group. Do you call it quality assurance or quality engineering, or is it interchangeable?
So we call quality engineering, right? Because it's more about, Telus is quite focused on evolving its DevOps practice. So it's more about shift left and engineering quality within the DevOps cycle rather than thinking about it as an after fact, right? So yeah, it's quality engineering, but it does not eliminate the fact that we do have some pockets where still quality assurance is being done. And that's where my team's real job comes in, because those pockets where we still have opportunities to evolve quality assurance into quality engineering, because different teams have different challenges based on the technology and the nature of the application they work on. So we really help them evolve transform from quality assurance to quality engineering, helping them shift left.
And it makes sense with your title, right? DevOps and quality engineering makes a lot of sense. So let's talk a little bit about cloud, because it's one of the disruptive technologies that's come along in the last 5 years that's really taken over. What does Telus leverage the cloud to do testing, or to do testing in the cloud? And what are your thoughts about the evolution of cloud?
Well, so one thing that cloud brings off the back is scalability, right? And it helps, at Telus, at least it's helping in scaling the testing practice. So we have left behind the age where running a bulk of automation script was dependent on the available machines, physical machines or VMs, right? That was hindering our ability to test quicker, fail fast, fix things quicker, and go to market. So we have actually been able to move most of our testing framework, automation capabilities onto a cloud native system and framework that actually brings the scalability into the overall framework and helps us scale the test automation run to the desired volume. That actually helps in speeding up the quality certification of the software, right? So actually, I've seen this, that across the telecom, the cloud tech is actually transformative, right? Like I have read about it, and I've seen that the telecoms are moving their core services like billing, CRM, network operations, customer support, network functions, and all of these on a cloud-based infra that actually helps in transforming the industries and helps them in streamlining their operational cost and helps them in scaling the things quicker, right? So while this happens, the quality engineering also needs to get onboarded onto these new capabilities and new technologies. So yeah, we are getting all of our automation tool frameworks cloud native because it helps them getting seamlessly integrated into the mature DevOps practices.
What are some of the differences that you're seeing with on-prem with cloud testing compared to on-prem? Like, for example, cloud, I'm sure security is an issue, or performance at the edge, that sort of thing. What are you seeing as you do cloud?
Well, definitely there has been concerns initially about security, right, when it comes to cloud-based or SaaS-based automation framework. But then there are ways of managing the security as well. For example, all of our automation scripts are very well managed in terms of security by storing the secrets well. And it actually, as I said, that there are advantages such as you get a cloud storage, right? So you don't have to worry about storing the test results and generating the historical trends, like in 5 years, how you have evolved your quality engineering practices, how your code coverage has increased, how your defect elimination rate has improved, because you have all of that raw data stored in your cloud storage that you can process by building an AI or building an analytics on top of those raw data and pull all this vital information that actually helps organization in evolving and in continuous improvement processes, right? So reporting analytics really gets easier. Scalability is one another thing that helps, and the other thing is that integration with other modern age technologies, like integrating with new AI-based tools, which are the SaaS-based AI-based tools, which are in the market, right? It helps in easy integration with that and keep up with the new technologies. Whereas on-prem, there will definitely all of these started on-prem infra, right? But these capabilities were having a bit limitation over there, right?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, cloud is one of the two main disruptive elements of quality engineering these days, and I think it's going to evolve. It sounds like it's evolving with Telus in terms of how you test in the cloud, also how you use cloud to do testing. The other disruptive element is AI, as you know. I mean, yeah, we should all be open AI and increase our valuation to $6.6 billion. If we can do that overnight, like they did last week. ChatGPT, NVIDIA, all these companies that are out there using artificial intelligence are huge in the marketplace right now. And I know that telecommunications companies use AI as much or more than most companies that are out there. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about that. What is your perspective on AI and how it's being used, especially at Telus and telecom in general?
Well, AI is the future. There are no two ways around it. And at Telus, we are doing a lot with AI. So I'm happy to share on this forum, and it's out there in our public forum as well, that Telus is using generative AI to enhance its customer operations and customer experience part of it. And actually, Telus won CIO awards by IDC Canada for its Copilot that it developed for its special point of contact. This on a public forum, our CIO, Hisham, shared this, and it was really a moment of celebration for us. We also won the Global Generative AI Award 2024, and I think that our Gen AI customer support tool is the world's first to achieve privacy by design certification. So there has been amazing milestones, and there are much more to come because our leadership vision is to evolve with AI, but with ethical practices in place, right? And I think that Telus is quite focused towards it. We're also using AI in our quality engineering space. Like nowadays, the AI is being used in generating the unit test and preparing your test plans and developing your automated test scripts, codeless automation test scripts, running analytics on the data that's available. So yeah, there's a lot to do in the field of AI, and there is no lack of backlog, I would say, when it comes to AI and evolving along with AI at Telus. Yeah.
Parasar, did you have your hand up? Do you have a question? You're on mute.
Yes. So I had a question, on the cloud part. So I see, whenever we talk about cloud, and one of the things that comes into the picture is about security, right? And I think the industry has learned a lot, like how to handle cloud security, and it's getting better. You see the adaptability, you see that kind of people adopting it. What about other factors which may be holding up the adoption of cloud in the QE? Do you see any other factor which may be holding up the knowledge base or things that you can little highlight? What other factors may be holding up the cloud adoption in QE?
So you brought up a good point, right? Though there are various opportunities, right? It's not only an opportunity in terms of evolving the testing framework, but it's also an opportunity to evolve the skill set of the SDETs, or the quality engineers that we have in market, right? Yeah. So having a knowledge of how to set up your automation framework onto a cloud space, or How do you make it cloud native? How do you integrate with the CI/CD pipeline on cloud? How do you use the cloud native build and deploy engines? How do you use the cloud storage for various reporting analytics purposes? And how do you integrate with other DevOps tools such as Slack for reporting and notification and Jira for traceability and whatnot are some critical aspects of it, right? So one thing that I see that why the organizations are struggling about it is because the focus is more about testing the software rather than how do we make the testing process itself efficient and technology compliant, right? So definitely the SDETs should start looking towards evolving their cloud knowledge so that they can reshape their quality assurance knowledge, right, along with the new technologies such as cloud and AI, and come up with a cutting edge testing framework that can help boost their overall quality, reliability, efficiency, and pace outputs.
Absolutely. Like, a lot of people are going to be listening to this, like, knowing that you have been one of the leaders in the kind of the telecom space in Canada, in the QE, like, where I see also, like, we are very much crowded with the concept of no code, low code. But, what about the performance? Like, what is the scalability? Like, when different applications are going serverless, can we actually move our execution to a serverless mode, right? Okay, that itself, it's a huge shift how the acceleration can happen. Now that we are getting into the age of using volume automation, we need to think about like how to scale up using those cloud native opportunities from there. Like, I'm glad that you brought up, like, how SDET should be kind of looking into that and adapting cloud. Thank you, Ayush. Over to you, Jeff, for
I was going to, so I don't know if we, any more questions on cloud?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's turn back to artificial intelligence now, because I think this is such an enormous area to dive into. I'd like to kind of explore, at least from a Telus perspective, some use cases around AI. And there's two aspects to this, and we really have to differentiate both of them. The first is how you use artificial intelligence to do testing. I've got some thoughts about that for how Accenture did it or does it. And then the second area is how you test artificial intelligence, because that is a real issue. We just talked about how you test in the cloud and the differences in cloud and on-prem. Well, what are the challenges of testing AI? So let's start with the first one. What are your thoughts on how does Telus use artificial intelligence to do testing?
Well, Telus uses artificial intelligence in various ways to make the quality engineering process efficient. Some of the ways that is quite popular in the market is using artificial intelligence for test case preparation, right? It's kind of taking away the mundane work, right? As long as the requirements are written well, the functional technical requirements, you can create a suite of test cases right off the bat, and then there's a need of scanning it through, but it's a significant efficiency baking into the whole process. The other part of it is that we are using, with some of the mature DevOps squads that we have at Telus, are using AI in developing the unit automated test scripts. Right? So it kind of enhances the whole DevOps practice, making the code ready for product testing or pre-UAT testing or for functional regression testing faster than it was anticipated a few years back from now. The third thing that is one of the latest things that we have tried is using AI in our contract-based testing. So that comes right after automating unit. So it actually is helping in achieving the integration of the components quicker. And this tool was developed at Telus, where the prompt engineering was done by the engineers and the QE architects at Telus. So we have our own custom tool that helps in validating the contract between a provider and a consumer. and it helps in fast failure, and it helps in preemptive detection of the defect and resolve it even before it gets available for QA to test. So there are various ways we are using, but these are not the only ways you can use AI. Like there are so many opportunities in terms of using AI for quality engineering, such as self-healing of your automation scripts, predictive analysis of what could fail based on the some preliminary results which are available. And one latest thing that I was reading about is that that's called natural language processing, which actually is helping organizations where you have a testing factory logging defects. There's a bulk of defect. The development team doesn't know which defect to prioritize, but you can use a natural language processing as an AI wrapper on that, which helps prioritize the defect as long as defect has been logged with the right amount of information, and allows the developers to work on the defects, on those defects first, which are critical in nature. So such a great way of optimizing the developers' time, right? Eliminates the need of manually reviewing the defect to determine the priority. And think about it, that how quick and how seamless it can make the whole SDLC process. So there are various things that we have that those are coming up in terms of AI in QE space, and actually Telus is open to use all of them within its ethical boundaries.
So practically everything you said there has to do with making your lives easier, right? Being more efficient, more productive. And that's exactly why these technology achievements occur. It's why automation exists. But it leads to an interesting, maybe a quandary. Maybe that's the right word. Recently, I don't know if you pay attention in the U.S., the dock workers from various companies, the union for dock workers went on strike. Fortunately, it didn't last very long, but they went on strike in part because they're concerned about artificial intelligence taking over their jobs. Last year in Hollywood, the writers, the actors went on strike as well, concerned that artificial intelligence was going to take over their jobs. For the writers, use AI, ChatGPT to write scripts. If you're an actor, use AI-generated images of people. And so there's concern about that. Now you're talking about, one of the first things you said was using artificial intelligence to reduce the amount of grunt work that it takes to create test scripts. Does that mean we need fewer people doing testing, doing quality engineering? What are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't say fewer people, right? But I have a different perspective about it. And I'll also start with a story that I have, and I've seen it on LinkedIn, right? So I saw a LinkedIn user putting a post that I want AI to do the laundry and dishes for me so that I can do the creative writing and craft, not the other way around, where AI is doing the creative writing and craft so that I can do the laundry and dishes. Right? It was a nice perspective, and I liked it.
That's a great.
Yeah. And digging through the conversation, I came across another interesting response to it. And the customer said that agreed with the punching line, and AI should handle mundane activities to free up the time so that for humans to do more valuable human contributions, right? But at the same time, it is important to make sure that we are not underestimating the capabilities of AI. And the recent research have proven beyond a point that AI can do amazing job when it comes to creative writing, crafts, or solving some complex problems. So what is the right path forward, right? The right path forward is to develop a system where AI is not being looked as something that will replace the human activity, but it is a system where AI can human abilities and AI can collaborate together, right, to unlock the future potentials, which is difficult for 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 purely human abilities to achieve on its own. So if AI can be used, let's say, for example, NVIDIA, or for Hollywood, let's say if AI can be used in taking a shot where facial expressions, the real human emotion is not important, well, it makes somebody's life easy. But when it comes to present the real human emotion and stuff like that and facial expression, why not? So how I think the idea is that how do we build a system, and how do we educate the users and the community affected by AI? How do we educate them that how you can use AI for freeing time up for yourself so that you can do the job that can be done by human, but at the same time use AI capabilities in enhancing the rest of your activities?
Parasar, you got a question? I'm mute.
I think you brought up a very interesting fact, right? Okay, that every time, like, I do a talk in several AI forums, and I often get this question either to the speaker, or I'm asking the question to the speaker, right? That is AI taking up a job? Right. I want to ask you guys a question, like, Ayush, like, in your long run in this QE, right? Have you ever come across the situation where you felt that we had enough time for testing? Or you were always running into that we didn't have enough time for testing?
The second one. I believe that most of the QE team and the QE factories feel that way. Yeah. But I have also started feeling that very soon we'll be in a spot where we'll say we do not have enough time in testing the AI algos and and in managing the AI-driven solutions that can help in doing the testing, right? And I believe that that's where you were trying to go to.
Yeah, I was trying to see, like, that, in all my career, I have always seen this, like, working as a tester, test lead, test manager, director, like everywhere, that push is always there, that I don't have enough time. We go back, we are the last age of the boundary. Things come late, we don't have enough time, there's a crowding. So the thought is, can AI help us to fill that gap? Right? Okay, I had only 80% of the time to do what I needed to do, right? Can AI be that 20%? Help me, like, do those, like, the things that I don't need to worry anymore. And I can literally, as you mentioned, on the critical path of it, like, cover that piece. Do you see that AI taking that help, like taking our help, the testers can, like, fill that gap?
Absolutely. And again, right, it's not about filling a gap of a tester. Like I wouldn't ever put it in a perspective of that AI is taking a role of a tester, right? For me, it would always be that AI is actually helping in doing the laundry and dishes so that the tester can do the creative activity. And for me, the creative activity is doing smart prompt engineering, is testing the AI testing solutions algo right, is making sure that the prompt that has been developed to enable these AI systems to do the job ethically and reliably. For example, my contract testing tool, right? If we don't make sure that the prompts which exist there is always reliable and is always updated, it won't do the job, right? Yeah. So definitely, I won't consider it as replacing it. But you're right. This AI evolution is actually going to help make the DevOps process in the squads seamless and mature. Yeah. And an example of that is, as I said, that we have a squads who are writing their unit automation scripts using AI. Well, it's not only that, I won't say it's tester, because in a real agile world, there's no tester, no developer, but the developer were complaining, hey, I don't have enough time to test my code and test everything and test my code properly through the unit test, right? So they were testing manually. Later, they said, we don't have time to develop the automation scripts, but now what? You can develop the automation scripts and you can run all of them, right? You don't have to spend as much time developing the automation scripts if you're using, say, GitHub Copilot to develop your unit automation test cases. So, same lines for all the other automation test cases. So definitely it helps us in speeding the things. As I said, that for the future is that, well, I have a lot of time to test out the things because AI is going to take care of that, right? How do I invest quality time in making sure that AI is doing that job right? So I think that that's where the future is moving to, and that's what is my advice to everybody out there who is in this profile, and say, don't consider it as something replacing your job, but consider it something facilitating you time to invest into a new technology that's evolving.
Absolutely. That's the way I also think about it, for fill the gap of time, right? Because the time is what we don't have enough at in testing world, right? If AI could do that, like if 5 years back I would have a AI assistant helping me, organize certain things, put it in the right way, prioritize that, like how we mentioned the defect, I would be glad to have that, right? So that's a help, like definitely. And AI is never going to replace what a critical thinking of a human can do, but it just can help you get there what you want to do within that frame of time.
Absolutely.
So that's a good dialogue around how you use AI to do testing. Let's talk about how you test AI. I actually pulled a book from my bookshelf earlier today. This is written by Accenture's Chief Technology Officer, Paul Doherty, and it's called Human versus Machine, Human and Machine. And it really focuses on a lot of different things when it comes to artificial intelligence, but one of the things it talks about is bias, right? So when you're actually doing testing of an artificial intelligence system, for example, Telus might be using AI as an application somewhere. Bias is an issue, right? You have to ingest data, but is it the right data? Is it biased data? So let's talk a little bit about, tell us, what do you do when you're testing an AI application? If I'm assuming you are, if not, just let me know. But if it's testing an AI application, how do you solve for bias? How do you test? What is your process for doing testing when it's really about ingesting millions, large language models, essentially, of data? What are your thoughts on that, Ayush?
So we are evolving in this space, but for whatever we have tried, I can definitely share my views on it. So testing an AI-based tool comes with the strategy, responsibilities, and expertise, right? In AI tools, understanding its algos, managing the algorithm, and doing the right prompts, right? So, for an instance, the contract testing tool that we have developed, it can help to a certain extent of telling you that whether the request sample or the response sample XML that is coming from a consumer or provider, it matches to what is documented in the interface agreement between the two teams, right? But it wouldn't be able to handle the nuances of different kind of data that comes as a request, or say if there's an exception that comes from a request, maybe it won't be able to find that all. It's just a first level detection of whether your request or response is designed as per interface agreement or not. So definitely we cannot unleash it and say, oh, here's a tool that, and you can go and do everything and anything that you want. You need, definitely there has to be a right governance in place to understand the capabilities, to make sure that you know the boundaries of the algorithm that you have, and you also understand the limitations of what data your current algo or your current system cannot handle, right? And as long as that is clearly documented, you can derive right output out of your system. Otherwise, there can be numerous false positive or false negative, leading to consequences of your software going into the real customer environment. So definitely data handling is one part of it. Having the right data and understanding the algo of your tool. I think a combination of all of these is important for your system to work properly.
Good. And one of the things that we have to worry about when we test AI is AI taking over. There's a couple anecdotes here that I'm going to just cite, and I want to get your thoughts on, how Telus would handle this. And I'm thinking about a telecom company. The worst thing that can happen is AI takes over and it cuts off all communications from all mobile devices, all landlines, so nobody can contact anybody else. Right? That might be the worst case scenario for a company like Telus. Government institutions might be a different story, but there was a gentleman that just won the Nobel Prize for Physics this week. His name is Jeffrey Hinson. He is actually Canadian. He's from Toronto, professor, and he worked for Google. And this actually made news a couple of years ago. He left Google because he recognized the danger that AI could present, but he didn't feel like he could speak freely about it. So he left Google, and now he's actually on the TED Talk circuit about the potential dangers of AI, being smarter than us and deciding through machine learning to take over and do what AI might think is the right thing, but the right thing could be to destroy the world. So I want to get your thoughts on that. And the other anecdote is that just recently, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, vetoed a bill that would put some controls around how AI is developed to prevent the kind of catastrophic issues that I just described. And so he was heavily influenced by the people in Silicon Valley, obviously. But it's an issue, and I want to get your thoughts on what are the catastrophes that could happen at TELUS or anywhere in the marketplace that we have to guard against, and as quality engineers, we have to test for. What are your thoughts on that?
So, telecom industry is using AI or is planning to use AI in various ways, right? Like, for example, it uses AI in network optimization, it uses AI in predictive maintenance of its servers and equipments, and definitely chatbot and customer experiences is something that is widely being used across. But the other thing is, I believe AI-driven algos to manage traffic across various servers to prevent outage, right? And I think the biggest catastrophe for any industry, not just for telecom, who is on a digital, who is operating digitally, or where the network is involved, is a complete outage in production, right? So think about, in your case, think about a situation where AI-driven logic fails to manage the traffic and distribute it effectively across the server, causing an outage, say, in all of east of Canada. That would be catastrophic, right? I'm sure that it wouldn't be a pleasant experience, neither for customer nor for the company. So definitely, as you said, that the opportunities are numerous, but it has to be ethical, it has to be well governed, and at this point of time, as the technology is evolving, I don't think that we have reached to a point where we can tell everything can be done by AI and AI can take the decision. Obviously, there has to be a governance in place. AI can help in predicting the possible causes of outage earlier, but it would still require a human intelligence to review and say, yep, I agree with these predictions or not, right? Rather than allowing AI to do to take actions for, at least for the critical spaces, such as traffic redirection in production, or in critical industries like in health or in security, right? I don't think that we can do it. And I would tie it back to the second question that you asked about the bill, California bill, right? That Gavin Newsom brought in. So, he vetoed it, right? And the reason he vetoed it is because it had a potential to stifle the innovation, right? And the second thing was that the framework of the bill, or the language of the bill, was wasn't clear enough because it was kind of applying the same strict, stringent regulations across the industry, regardless of the severity of the space. Like it had the same strict, stringent regulations for security, as well as say something which is not as critical, right? As security domain or national security, or I would say health sectors. So and the other reason was that it putting such stringent and strict regulation at this point of time. The other risk was that it could have put California on a competitive disadvantage compared to other states and nations who do not have such policy, though there are many countries and states who are working on such policy, right? But I think that we still have to design a system, again in this case, where the security regulations and the ethical use of AI does not intervene with the innovation and the innovative ideas and investment into it, right? With that in mind, definitely it can only be achieved when, as per my previous note about the LinkedIn story, when human capabilities and the artificial intelligence work in a collaborative system, right? Where we use the potentials of AI at the same time making sure that there is a human governance in place wherever and whenever it's needed.
So I made a couple notes here about things that you said that are mitigation points for this kind of catastrophic, AI taking over the world. Neither of them have to do with quality engineering, by the way. It's going to be something outside of QE. The first thing you said was, I'm going to paraphrase here, but essentially it's building in a failover process where if something catastrophic were to occur, there'd be a way to fail over so that there isn't an outage in the east coast of Canada. And then the second thing is you got to build in an eject button, or you got to be able to press pause so that artificial intelligence can't take over the world. The nightmare then is artificial intelligence through machine learning learns that there's an eject button and then overrides it, and then what do you do, right? But those are two things that would have to be built in by the developers, and we have to test that as well as quality engineers. So very interesting there. I want to move on. Just one more point on this, and then I'm going to ask you my famous end of podcast question. But the first thing, the last real kind of question here is around will AI create technology as sort of a personal companion, right? I think about, I have a relationship with Siri. I have a relationship with Alexa too. Alexa's sitting over here, so I don't want to, wake her up. But do you think that there's going to be some level of relationships that people have with their technology devices because of AI?
Absolutely. Like I love my Google Assistant, and my Google Assistant tells, like, for example, I use it extensively, right? Like I have configured my Google Assistant with facial recognition, right? And let's say if my daughter is playing in the backyard, it says Princess in the backyard, right? And that's the name that I have. And so I know that where she is, right? And let's say that if my wife is out for shopping and she's coming, she would say that, okay, wife is at the door. So I know that I can open the door without having to go down and check who it is, right? Because saying wife is at the door and I can just open it up. So definitely it has, I use my voice assistant extensively while driving. If I have to find Tim Horton coffee shop or anything, I use the voice command and it works well for me. So it's developing, and I believe that more and more people start using it in a effective way, in a useful way. People will start getting used to the potentials, and they will learn the potentials of AI. There are concerns. Hey, you are storing these information, that facial recognition of your daughter on this system, right? On Google Nest or on Google Camera. And I said that, well, are you not scared about the security? And said that, well, not as of now, because it should be Google worried about the security of the system, right? And and as long as I do not see anything being compromised, I cannot just worry about it and not use the technology. I would use the technology, and I also provide feedback. It says, okay, how is your feedback, right? How do you find it? How many stars do you want to give to us? I give the stars, and these are the feedback, and I also give opportunities where they can improve, right, in the feedback. So if I'm always supportive of it, and I'm supportive of evolving QE or any software development practices alongside AI within ethical and responsible boundaries.
Very good. Parasar, you had a question.
Yeah, I have actually two questions. This is a fantastic discussion. I really love that. The momentum about the AI piece, right? And I wanted to ask you this because you must be have done this several times, being in a leadership position in a quality engineering organization, right? Okay, so when you have to kind of choose, your initial use cases, right? Okay, and a lot of people, a lot of leaders in QE are trying to choose this, right? Okay, what would be my first few use cases that I'm going to try the AI on? So if you can just briefly talk about what are the factors goes into making that selection of your first initial use cases are.
So the first use case to consider is first analyze your space, right? And determine what are the optimization opportunities, right? And when I say optimization opportunities, it means optimizing the hours into work operation. How can you optimize it? How can you optimize your cost? How can you optimize and maximize your output, right? Now, there could be different teams could have various challenges because different teams are at different maturity in their whole DevOps practice, right? So for some teams, it could be, okay, I want to use AI to automate my unit tests because I'm not able to test everything from a unit test standpoint when I make a code. I have a system that is maybe a monolithic system, and there's always a lot to test whenever we make small changes. And sometimes we don't even get enough time to test everything out, right? So I will use GitHub Copilot to write or to develop all my unit automated tests and I'll make sure that they are maintained and run them. For some, it could be, well, I will make sure that you will use AI in documenting my requirements well, right? The user stories well. So would be I'll use AI to read those requirements and develop the right set of functional use cases for me, right? And then I can go through it and I can negate what is not needed. I can enhance how it is. Okay. The other use case would be, okay, now I have a good requirement. I have a good test case plan. I will use AI to read those planned test cases and develop the journey automation test cases out of AI. Codeless. There are many tools out there that can help with that. I have now my automated test cases generated by AI that does the job of validating the journey. All of it requires human governance in place as of today, but it does make it does help in optimizing a lot of effort towards doing this mundane activity. The next thing is I will have an AI on validating my test results and generate a comprehensive report for my team, for my leadership, for my program. As this is how the quality is looking, and I'll give you predictive analysis of what are the risks of this product tested through this testing cycles before you go to production, right? And then you will know that what is my risk area that I need to focus and I need to reassess before I release the code. So there are various opportunities and various pockets where you can apply AI to optimize your work, make your whole SDLC process more efficient, quality and reliability baked, and go to market quicker.
I think that's very effective for leaders to kind of think about. You have given some good thoughts that people can adopt to do that. In terms of your suggestion to I have been sitting in two sides of the table where I have been a practitioner. Now I'm a kind of a producer of a software. To two side of the table, what would be your expectation from somebody who is joining your team in the new age? What would you expect from them in the new age? And then if somebody is building a software, right, what would be the market that can bring to you to the table that you feel valuable to that?
So somebody who is joining my team, I would expect them to be inquisitive, and I would expect them to be open to the learning, right? It's an evolving space. If I have to hire somebody in my team, by default, it's going to be a senior SDET profile. But I would love that person to be inquisitive and say, I want to learn more. I want to try new things using new technology and build great things, right? That can help make our life easier, allowing us to focus on things which helps in my personal skill set growth, right? So definitely, and I would want that person to share this learning across the world. For those who are working on these kind of software and tools, right? The software and tools those that is being worked are actually the enablers for these people who are willing to upskill themselves, willing to use new technology, willing to make life easy, willing to make software development practice seamless and still be like seamless, quicker, still baked with quality and reliability. These tools should help them in achieving this, should enable them in achieving it, right? And 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 I think that's what is my small and sweet, I would say, and crisp advice on these two questions.
Thank you, Ayush. I think there was a lot of good thoughts for the industry and the community to kind of like pick up on. So great for and thanks for sharing. Jeff, back to you.
Yeah, I always like to finish our podcasts with something fun, and let's step outside of the quality engineering zone, maybe steps outside our comfort zone, and just think about in the next 5-10 years, what do you think is going to be the technology disruption that occurs? Not necessarily artificial intelligence or cloud or anything we've talked about today, but something new and different. What do you think is going to be the biggest thing that's going to come and be disruptive in technology?
Well, I think that the biggest disruption in technology in the next 10 years, well, it's a good question. I think it's gonna be. I don't know if it's in a 10-year time, but in 20 years' time, the biggest disruption would be stem cell therapy, where it's not only making software using technology, but how are we making living objects using technology, right? How can probably a few decades down the line, maybe we'll have a inventory of incubators where babies with smart genes are being developed to make it a better society, and with everybody being intellectual, right? And actually, I see that there's a thought process moving in that direction. So artificial intelligence is just a start. I think the end is going to be furthermore amazing than what we are seeing today.
I wonder what the ethics of that is, right? And I'm sure there's a whole conversation around the ethics of what do you call this, gene editing or whatever that we're talking about?
Genetic engineering. Like I have a personal keen in it because I have a degree in bioinformatics and computer science. So life sciences, genetics is the future, and the wonders that can be done in this space was proven in COVID era, where a vaccine was developed in a record-breaking 2 years' time, which was never done before. Right?
All right. Tell you what, in 20 years, come back on the podcast and we'll talk about where things are on that sign. All right. Well,
yes.
I want to thank my guest, Ayush Anand. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. And Parasar, as always, thank you for setting this up. I appreciate it. And as always, we will sign off all things quality. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.